All right, welcome everyone. Welcome to our first Facebook Live. I'm Luis Trevino. I'm the owner and CEO of Arable, and I'm also an elite med spa growth expert. We work with med spas, with co-sculpting practices, dermatologists, plastic surgeons, pretty much the works all across the United States, and helping them implement systems and foundation so they can start to grow their practice and hit seven figures if they're already hitting seven figures and really going beyond that so they can work towards building a more sustainable lifestyle and getting to the point where either they sell their business or they kind of begin to remove themselves from the business, right? And I guess I'll give here a few minutes just to get more people to come in. If you have any questions, feel free to type them in on the chat box, and we'll get those replied back to you as soon as we can. But yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited to kind of start doing these videos. I've done a Facebook Live before, but it's going to be our second one. I'm excited to kind of get these things rolling out. So let's go ahead and dive right in. I wanted to keep kind of doing these videos maybe on a weekly basis, but I wanted to educate you all and talk about some of the mistakes that I see med spa owners make today that is causing them revenue, it's causing them the ability to acquire new patients, and it's really causing them to lose out against their competitors, right? And so when I talk to a lot of med spa owners, I hear the same things, right? Things like, you know what, I was trying traditional advertising. I've done some billboards, done some radio, done all that stuff, and it was working before, but it just seems like it's not really working today. And then now, this is kind of competitors always been a big issue, obviously, but especially now for a lot of cool sculpting practices, now that Allergan has taken over, there's just been a lot more cool sculpting practices entering the market, and so you kind of get to this point where you start to become a commodity, right? And so it makes it even harder to keep patients and even harder just to get new patients through the door, right? And so what I want to talk about today is just some of the mistakes again that I've been seeing and every time I do a video, I'm going to highlight a specific one. But the main one today is that what I noticed that a lot of med spa practices owners don't really do is they're not really looking at the bigger picture, right? And what I mean by that is that they're not focusing on, they're focusing solely on short-term results, right? What I mean by that is like, a lot of times I'll sit down with an owner and I'll say, what are your goals? Like, what do you want out of this business, right? At the end of the day, your business is a means to an end, right? You got into business for yourself because you wanted a better life, you wanted more freedom, you wanted, more money, whatever the case was, but it was a means to an end, right? And a lot of people I speak to kind of spend, 60 to 80 hours a week just in their own business, if not more, but yet they don't have the right system. So what are your goals? Like literally, and I talk to a lot of patients and they're like, well, sky's the limit. Well, no, like, yes, the sky's the limit, but let's put some numbers to that, right? And so first thing is like looking at, let's say you can split up into quarters, into 6 months, and then into a year. What are your financial goals, right? And then going beyond finances, what are your operational goals, right? Do you want to start hiring more staff, right? And then what is the end result of that? Like, do you want to build a business so that you can sell it later on and kind of get to the point where you can sell it 3 to 10 times its current value, or do you want to be able to just keep that and retire, right? Start to remove yourself from that business and have other people take over, hire more doctors or hire more estheticians. Right? So what is your goals on an operational standpoint? What is your 3 to 5 year plan, right? And so the other thing to that is, like I said, focusing on short-term results or goals, right? So kind of taking a long-term picture of that and then trying to, once you know what those goals are, reverse engineering that process so you can get back and start actually working towards those goals. Now, it's not going to happen overnight, but that's okay, right? You have a plan and then you know how to get there. Right. Second thing is not focusing on building brand, and I refer to this as brand equity, and we'll get into this in maybe some of my other videos and stuff like that. But one of the biggest mistakes that I see a lot of practice owners making right now is that they're focused on tactics, right? Let's advertise here, let's run this promotion, or let's do this event. Those are all tactics, right? But at the end of the day, you need to have a strategy, right? You need to have a strategy first. and then your tactics, right? And so when I talk about building a brand and building brand equity, it's like you are the brand. Whether or you need to figure out who the brand is, right? At the end of the day, I always prefer to go with the actual practice owner, because at the end of the day, people like to see faces. What we know is that people don't buy from businesses, right? People buy from people. And I will buy from you. The way you compete against your competitors is, one, if you just provide a better service, and two, if you just establish yourself as a local celebrity in that market. If people like you, they know you, like you, and trust you, then more often than not, I'm gonna give you my money. I'm gonna work with you, right? So if I like you, I'm gonna do business with you. And so what I mean by building a brand is building you as a local celebrity, and then as a result, that kind of builds your business as well. So when we work with our clients, that is our strategy, right? Everything that we do, all of our tactics, advertising, campaigns, everything, right? Events, they all center around building the practice, building the owner as an expert and as a local celebrity, right? So that's number two. Number three is not focusing on the lifetime customer value, right? A lot of clients, especially when we're doing advertising, this is really important. This is how you're going to start to be able to scale your business, and how much you can start advertising, right? Because right now we work a lot with CoolSculpting practice, so I'm going to give a CoolSculpting practice example where I say, well, you know what? Right now, an average sell value of a CoolSculpting patient is $2,500. That's around four cycles, right? And honestly, if that's the average sell value, then we need to talk, right? But let's just say minimum standard right now, everybody's doing 2,500. Well, if I can spend let's say a third or a fourth to acquire that patient and to bring that money through the door, then we have a good advertising system, right? Well, yes and no, right? I mean, obviously you want to get that number as low as possible, but the way you can really start to scale and have a better understanding of what your lifetime customer is worth is by knowing how much they're going to spend with you on a 12-month basis, right? And this is how much you can. This is going to give you some leeway, because the person that spends the most, right? The company that spends the most ultimately will win and dominate the market. That is just hardcore fact, right? So if you have more leeway, if you know you can spend more to acquire a customer and you're still going to be profitable, then you're going to have a huge advantage against your competitors, right? And so what I mean by that is like 2,500, but let's say across a 12-month span, they're going to come back and spend another 2,000 to 5,000. Now, not everybody's going to come back, and that's understandable, but you factor that into the equation. If you have 100 patients, then 30 to 50% of them will come back and spend anywhere from $2,000 to $5,000. So that means that, let's say 2,500 and 5,000, that's $7,500 in lifetime customer value across a 12 month span, right? So now you know that you can, let's say, spend a third of that, a fourth of half of that, right? So you can acquire a new patient. And that's the beauty, guys, because the goal of advertising is to acquire a new patient. Once you have that patient in your database, then you can it's not going to cost you more to advertise. And I should do another video talking a little bit more about this and kind of go in depth into that, and just like the different concepts in that, because honestly, it's revolutionary in growing a business. So again, number three was focusing on the lifetime customer value. And that's what I mean by kind of not looking at bigger picture. Number four is not implementing marketing automation systems, right? And so what I mean by that is, there's a lot of talk right now about CRMs and stuff like that. And you as a practice owner, you might have your patient care system, right, where you keep track of all your patients, the treatments they've done, and you can track all their transactions and bill them through there and all that stuff. But aside from that, you need to have a client relationship management system that can handle a few things. But one of the most important things that you need to ensure that it handles is your marketing automation. What do I mean by that? Well, here's the thing, guys. If you want to remove yourself from the business and you want to take your business to the next level, right? What type of systems do you have in place right now so that you can actually get there, right? For example, again, CoolSculpting, right? CoolSculpting, you want to get a patient in and you want them to make a sale, but then what happens after they make that sale, right? Well, part of what we do with our clients is we map out the entire client journey. What happens from when they come in as a lead or when they make a phone call all the way till the end of when they make a purchase, right? And we map that out, and then we create systems so that we can continue to push them down the line, right? And so part of having a marketing automation system, for example, is like once somebody becomes a patient, Well, you know that 3 months after that, you want to get them to come back in, take their before and after pictures, and ultimately that presents an opportunity for you to upsell them, right? Make them, offer them some new packages and let them get more CoolSculpting or maybe something else, right? Well, what system do you have in place right now, right? Is your staff looking at all the paperwork, all the purchases that were made every single day, looking 3 months back and calling everybody, inviting them to come back in? That's really, really inefficient, right? And so the way that we do is with our marketing automation system, we know after somebody makes a purchase, 3 months from now, they will receive an email, a text message inviting them to come back in to schedule an appointment with us to get their before and after pictures, and then that presents the opportunity for you to upsell them. That's just one of the ways that we create efficiency within our practice. But like I said, we want to map out the entire customer journey, figure out what needs to happen in every single stage, and then make those automations, all those sequences happen, right? You want to have foundation systems and automations within your practice so that you can start to scale. And that way you can keep... All right, so I apologize there. It seemed like we had some little technical difficulties and the video got cut off. But basically what I was saying is that is how you build a company that is really efficient, that has the right systems, foundations, and staff in place so that you can begin to remove yourself from the business. If you want to just, minimize the time of your involvement, right? But not just that, but it's also a great foundation for you to start growing your business and really start scaling at capacity, right? And so one of the things, like, what would you rather do? Would you rather have an automation system that is maybe costing you a sixth, or less of an actual employee doing those things? The answer is probably yes, right? It's a great way to keep your overhead down. So that pretty much concludes, the points that I had for today. But again, focus in on what that big picture is for you, right? What does that mean? Why did you create your business in the first place? Think about that and start mapping out everything you want out of it. And then once you do, that'll give you a great plan or a great goal so that you can actually start reverse engineering that process and start figuring out the best way for you to get there. If you have any questions, if you have questions about our practice growth engine system, this is what we do for our clients. I come in as a consultant, I work with them, I position myself as a CMO within their practice, and we bring our marketing team and we help them implement all of these systems so that not only so they can have a great foundation, but so that they can also start implementing advertising systems so they can really start scaling their business. So if you have any questions about that, reach out. If you have any questions about anything else, reach out. I want to make more videos. I want to put more content out there. So if you have questions, let me know. That way I can create videos out of that. But I think this was a good first run. And again, if you have any questions, reach out and we'll talk soon. Thank you.